So we will talk about some of the very basics of what we're going to, kind of cover in the next sessions on the first week. So I'm going to give you an overview and some of the intro as to what is required, and what is our primary, what are some of the focus areas would be, and some of the terminologies, some differentiations, and something like that. So cybersecurity is a subset of information security. So information security is a very broad term, and information security primarily is based on something called as the CIA triad, which is the one which you see here. So you have your confidentiality, I for integrity, A for availability. The information security predominantly dictates or is about creating policies, standard guidelines, to ensure that CIA triad is always met, and it's meeting this primary requirement. It means the confidentiality means you are keeping your data confidential, either when it's at rest, when it's in transit, or when it's getting processed, right? So that means if my credit card or my account information is sitting in the bank's environment, it should be protected at all the time. Nobody should be aware of what is happening or what am I trying to do, correct? So in terms of if I'm trying to withdraw somebody or some amount, that should be confidential. Nobody should be aware of it, because that's something which I'm trying to access my own account, and that should pretty much it. Or if I'm sending an email to, say, suppose Ravi or Kiran or Shimala, they only should be aware of it, and nobody else should be able to snoop in and then collect the information. So that's confidentiality. Integrity is nothing but, so suppose you're doing a online transaction. So the amount of the product is, say, suppose 100 rupees. You should be not, as a user, you should not have the privilege, neither the authority, to change the price from 100 to a lower amount or in negative amounts. So that's integrity of that value. So you cannot change anything. So when the integrity is tampered with, that it means the information is invalid for you. So that's how information security looks towards integrity, keeping the information intact so that unauthorized people cannot change it or tamper with it, right? Again, it's simple analogy is like, your food packages. You don't want to have an open packet come to you. That's called integrity. So you will trust that packet because it's sealed from all the places, and you open by yourself and say that, oh, I was able to open, it means nobody else has opened in between. That's the sense of confidence you will get when you open up a package which is intact and integrated. Then the third point is the availability. It means your resources should be available 24/7, 365 days, 99.9999% of availability, right? So do you think you will, okay, let me ask you a question, Kiran and Srimala. So if you have you're do shopping between Amazon and Flipkart, right? And suppose Flipkart goes down, would you wait for Flipkart to come back again, or you simply switch back to say suppose Snapdeal, Flipkart or Amazon or any other e-commerce vendors? What would you do?
Just shift.
We will not wait for
Exactly,
Flipkart, actually.
right? So we want our services to be available 24/7, even for a second. If that system is, or the website is unavailable, we are quickly able to switch to different customers, different vendors, right? It means that's a risk which a company will face if the services is not available. Today, at given point of time in 2020 or in next whatever years we gotta see, availability will play a crucial role because everything will be in cloud, right? So that's how your availability is important, your integrity of data is important, your confidentiality of data is critical for your company. So the whole of information security predominantly revolves around these three concepts. Okay, then what is cybersecurity then, right? So in the first image, if you see, your information security is the last boundary, is what covers everything else as part of security for the entire company. So what does the information security concepts cover? They cover ISMS, they cover people, legal ethics, risk management, they cover policies, they cover data security, they cover network security, everything else. Its information security is precisely telling you what to protect, and and you know, some of the higher level policies which you should be enforcing to protect your data. But when you talk about cyber security, these are the actual rules, protection systems, protection policies, protection technologies which you actually handle in protecting those information assets. While information security talks about higher level thing, that okay, you need to protect your firewalls, you need to protect your client data, you need to protect your financial data, you need to protect XYZ. You need to have a contingency plan, you need to have disk encryption, XYZ. But they'll not talk about what to do, how to do it. But cybersecurity and the rest of the system security, network security, all deal with actually implementing those things. So if you see here, the cybersecurity deals with threats like backdoor, denial of service, eavesdropping, spoofing, and XYZ, phishing, and XYZ. While system security talks about firewalls, virus, and worms, and network security talks about authentication, firewalls, emails, web security, and XYZ. So, so again, you know, to reiterate, information security is a bigger umbrella. Cybersecurity is part of information security. Again, if you see here, cybersecurity actually deals with how do I protect my application, right? How do I protect my information? How do I protect my network? How do I protect provide encryption? How do I look at access controls, user education, disaster recovery, you know, operational controls, and everything else? Because what happens is, if I take an example of, say, suppose access controls. So as a security operations center or a cyber security team, you will be monitoring all the accesses or all the access controls which is happening in your environment from an Active Directory point of view, or from a Windows login point of view. So suppose, you know, Kiran, if you're working, and Shrimala, if you're working, you'll know when you go into your organization, you log into your PC, you give your login ID and password, and you log in. But if you fail for suppose 10 times quickly in say suppose a minute, there is a team which is logging or monitoring those failures, and they'll quickly come back and ask you, Shrimala, was it you who failed to log in, or what really happened there? They will be monitoring that. Again, you know, for physical access controls, there will be a policy team who will be, or the local admin team who will be accessing or looking at your access controls. So suppose, you know, your door is unlocked at, like, you know, middle of the night. That's an uncommon situation. So somebody will be looking at that, right? Then I say network. You know, if I'm talking about network here, network would be, where are the connections coming in from? If I'm seeing a lot of connections from China, if I'm seeing a lot of connections from Russia, and I don't do business, that's a suspicious activity. You know, what am I supposed to do it? So that's how cybersecurity deals with the actual protection and implementation of technology to meet the information security requirements, right? Okay. Oh, anybody has a question?
No, Kishore.
No,
Okay,
sir.
thank you. So again, you know, why is so important? Like, why are we talking about, you know, cybersecurity, information security? Is because of a huge skill gap, right? On the demo slide which I showed yesterday, there is an increasing demand of cybersecurity professionals, right? So in example, in last couple of months, I think I interviewed 40 guys, couldn't select one candidate, a senior candidate, because they don't know the real attacks. They are, you know, everybody is in their own small area what they're working on. Like, you know, say suppose I'll give you an example. So what do you think Wipro and Infosys and Cognizant, all these companies are, like Tech Mahindra companies are?
Service based.
Service-based companies, right? What do they provide? They provide
Service.
services. It means they have a dedicated set of people as a teams. They provide cybersecurity services, like a managed security service providers, which is called MSSPs, to a company. Say suppose you have got your Reliance, right? So Reliance Security, or for that matter your SBI, SBI Bank Security is taken care by one of our Indian security companies in Bangalore, right? You have got Symantec, you have got a lot of other companies, like as I said, Wipro and all these companies. They provide security to a lot of other organizations, either in US or in India. So what they do is there is a mixture, like so the team which is sitting out of India, they'll have only limited access and limited control. So what happens is they are only are in an advisory role, not in a hands-on role. So that's one skill gap. The next skill gap is a lot of our education system doesn't focus on cybersecurity. From our education system, either BTech or MTech or whatever that is, you don't have a dedicated team for cybersecurity, and that's where people don't come up as part of as interested in cybersecurity as others are interested in information or development teams, right? All development. All the people are interested in development job. Again, it's not that it's not a lucrative career. It is lucrative career, but cybersecurity is as equivalent lucrative as a development career is. Because if a developer is developing a product, if he's not developing it securely, then it's information security's guy's job to catch that attack in place. So with skill gap, with people not having the right knowledge, people not developing themselves or not reading up on themselves, or lack of guidance, lack of career guidance, all comes together creating a huge skill gap, where there is there's a tremendous requirement for people with skill. I don't want people with certification. I want people with skill and understanding that they know what they're talking about. Understand it. No matter how much amount of time they spend, but they have to be thorough with the concept of what they're reading and why they're reading and how it helps them understanding or creating that knowledge for that particular area of cybersecurity, and how that helps us improve themselves as an individual and as a cybersecurity professional, and whether they are able to crack interviews or not. Okay. So with that, let's move into some of the things which we'll be talking about, right? So we will primarily try to understand some of our network concepts, right? Some of the networking concepts would be like, what is a router, what is a switch, what is a ring network, what is a router, what is a switch, what a server does, all those network terminologies. We'll also try to look at how the network really works, right? How they are set up. How does packet, or how the information from one place to goes to other place? How is it transmitted? How it is decoded, reassembled, like the OSI layers, if you remember, right? We'll talk about that. We will also look at some of our essential terminologies in cybersecurity or information security. Like we are seeing an attacker, we'll come across a breach, browser, brute force, dictionary attack, data at rest, credentials, exploit, malware, insider risk, farming, pen test, routers, incident, vulnerability, virus, VPN. So these are all some of the common terminologies which we will come across, and we will try to familiarize ourselves as well, right? But you don't need to worry that, oh, if I don't understand this terminology, that's absolutely fine. We'll learn as we come across these phrases or these terminologies. Okay. Then we'll try to understand what is a good guy, what is a bad guy, like an ethical hacker versus a hacker, right? What do these guys do really? Why are we talking about ethical hackers versus hackers? Is because what we do as part of cybersecurity or SOC, in SOC, is a ethical hacker, where we are good guys trying to hack in terms of trying to find out a loophole or a flaw in my own network, so that I can quickly go and protect or fill the gap with a rule or with some kind of detection technology. While a hacker does it for illegal purposes, it's his own purpose. He tries to break in because he wants to bring down the business, or he wants to blackmail you, or he wants just for the fun of it, he wants to, or it's the competitor who's trying to kind of overtake your business by bringing down the entire business so that he can be at the profitable margin, right? So we'll try to understand what is hackers, what is ethical hackers. Then we'll try to look at some of our hackers professions. What are the type of hackers are, like white gray and black hat hackers. Again, as I said, white hat hackers would be our ethical hackers, gray hat would be our or black hat would be our guys who are like trying to exploit us for their own gain. But the gray hat hackers are somebody who's in the middle. He is basically a guy who depends upon the situation will turn into a black hat or turns into a white hat hacker. But he's like the guy who's standing on the like a cat standing on the wall, like he can jump either ways. So he's very unreliable guy, right? So these type of we have got these type of hackers out there providing their services based on the requirement. White hat hackers are usually hired by the companies, like again black hat hackers are also hired by government organization or law enforcement agencies like FBI, or like for our Indian organizations as well. Once, because these guys have been put in jail, and if they want to come out of the jail, they'll have to support or help the law enforcement agencies use their skills to find an attacker, to help countries kind of or what do you call track nation state exploits or nation state attacks. Then we'll try to understand what motivate how attacker really thinks. Why does he attack? What is that he's trying to look for? Is it and his reason behind attacking an organization? So that is primarily a combination of motive, method, and vulnerability, right? So when I say motive is to cause harm to an organization, bring down a business purely for fun, or to steal some confidential information from a company. Then he'll also look for a method, right? What is that method? Method can be anything. It can basically method is trying to do a physical attack, or try to use a social engineering attack, trying to exploit your vulnerabilities in your own organization on your web servers. How do you want to do that? And the third one is to identify the weakness and then try to exploit it. So how do you think uh, uh, army officers are exploited? Let's take an example of that. How do you think army officers or army personnel are attacked?
Vulnerability.
Exactly. What type of vulnerability?
I'm not sure, but they they know the weaknesses of the opposition and they will attack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fairly right, but let's be a little specific.
Okay.
So if you're trying to attack an army guy, do you think you can directly go into an army base and attack him?
No, not possible.
Not possible. So what are the other ways of how do you attack him?
We'll we will go.
We'll try to observe him when he's out of the army base. Who is he, where is he? Ask some of the people, bribe someone, trying to find out his weaknesses, as you said. Like is he interested in some fancy items? He's interested in, like, say, buying expensive liquor. He's interested in buying expensive cars or expensive watches, or he's interested in people, like he any of his very extreme personal weaknesses, like honey trapping him, like girl approaching him saying that, hey, what, let's be friends, and they try to exploit him, right? So that's the vulnerability which the attacker will try. His method can be honey trapping, which is social engineering. The vulnerability is that particular journal or a kernel who has a weakness for certain activity, after which they get trapped. And then the attacker successfully carries out his exploit or his attack.
Okay.
Then so for us as part of SOC, we as part of ethical hacking, or part of our protection system, we use Kali Linux as one of our operating systems, which has got bunch of tools for every stage of attack. So if you can see on the screen, you have something called as information gathering, which is me trying to gather information for you guys, like for anything for that matter. And then we'll do vulnerability analysis. After me gathering the information about the particular company, we can do scanning. Then I have got, if I know that what web application they are running, or like in an application they're running on the servers, I can scan them using this web application tools. Then I've got database assessments. If I know that they're using user ID passwords, I can use password attacks. If I know that there is a wireless network which the employee connects to, I can go and attack the wireless network. And then I can do post exploitation, I can do forensics, I can do a lot of other things as part of this toolkit, right? So we'll try to explore all these tools, but not in extreme detail. We'll try to take an overview of some of the tools here and then work around it. Then some of the attacks which you will frequently come across or frequently hear about is malware, ransomware, something called a salami attack, denial of service, phishing attacks, web application exploits, and so on and so forth. So all these things are common everyday attacks, which you will, as a security operations center analyst, will have to work on and trying to come up and conclude to tell them what is false positive and what is true positive. When I say false positive, it's nothing but it's not an attack, it's not a real attack. Like it's something benign, or it's something not genuine. Like it was a false alarm basically. And then try to compare that with a true alert, which really shows you a compromise or an attack which has really gone through and some information was stolen, or the attacker was in the organization, right? So phishing will be the very common form of attack you'll see. Like a lot of phishing emails will be sent to you. I'll show you an example in the next slide. Ransomware is the most common one which you'll be facing nowadays, and for last 4 or 5 years, I think we have been seeing ransomware a lot. So a ransomware, again, if you know what ransomware is, let me ask you a question. What is ransomware? Would you know it? Okay, I'll take that as a no. So again, ransomware would be something like, the attacker sends you a phishing email, right? Let's say suppose Shrimala got an email from Kishore saying that, hey, Shrimala, this is the presentation for today. She knows me and she was in the class. She'll think that, okay, it might have something come from a known person. She clicks it. The attachment downloads a file as well, which executes on her machine, and then what do you call encrypts all the files on the machine and making it unusable for the particular user. Or in this case, Shrimala will not be able to use her systems until unless she pays a ransom, which is a screen like this. So it says your system has been encrypted. Only if you pay me a 0.05 BitLockers, your system will, I'll give you a decryption key, which you can go and decrypt your files and start using it. It means it's a ransom. I'm holding you ransom for your own systems, for your own information, right? Then phishing email. So if you see the page, this page looks like facebook.com. But in reality, if you say the URL, it says facebook.cix.6.com. Right? So again, the page might look like that, but the URL where it's hosted is different, and that's not something which is which you should be kind of really focused on, right? Just a second, guys. Sorry, guys. So again, phishing can be in a lot of ways. It's not just it's usually the websites, but you also you'll what happens is you'll also be able to you'll also see Gmail site getting phished, or you might be getting links on your email saying that hey, your account is logged. For you to unlock your account, you have to click here, or your somebody calling you and saying that your account from SBI has I'm calling from SBI bank, and then your account is logged. If you can give me your debit card's card number and then CVV ID, I'll be able to unlock it. Right? That's called phishing, like voice phishing. Somebody's calling and scamming you that, right? Okay, I want to stop here and just wait for and see if anybody you have questions. What's the Simula?
I think nothing more from my side.
Okay.
Kishore. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Let's move on. Then, as I showed you yesterday, some of the biggest breaches you'll come across, right? That site, which is information is beautiful. You see a lot of breaches here. If you want to go and read about them, there's a lot of information as to how these guys got breached, and some of the technicality as well. Okay.
Breach
Sorry.
means nothing but unauthorized way, an authorized way, right? Unauthorized way.
Yes, breach is an unauthorized way, or you actually getting compromised. Means the attacker was in your organization and he was able to steal some information from you.
Okay, got it.
Then we have got something called a then the SOC. So what we do at SOC is this. So the functions of SOC. So you have, let's go layer by layer here. So you have your SIEM solution. Then you have your analyst. Then you have your ticketing. Then you have your incident responders. Then you have people doing the actual remediation on talking to people. So what SOC does? The SOC's responsibilities would be to initially collect a lot of information from your network. When I say collect, it says enterprise security logs collected and sent to the SIEM. So let's take an example of this. So when I say collect logs, it means you will collect logs or information from a router, from your switch, from your server, from your desktop, from your smartphone, from your any other network device which is out there. So you'll collect logs from all these places, right? And then push it onto your SIEM solution, which is in this case our Splunk solution. Will push all these logs to your SIEM solution, and then it will help us kind of do an asset inventory, help us with list all the threats, map correlate a lot of data, and give us a central location where as a SOC analyst I can go and review these logs for analysis. The third step would be, as an analyst, I would go log into the SIEM solution and validate these logs, right? By terms of validate, I will write rules, or I will write alerts. I will look at flag bad IPs, or bad activity, and or and indicate that there is a bad activity going on, and I'll create incidents for that, right? Or start investigating for that. The fourth step would be, if I identify a bad activity happening, I'll start reporting it. Reporting it as a ticket to a different team or to my superiors, and to my incident response team, and asking them to take necessary actions, and then forward it to the response team, where they will perform the actual remediation, or in this case, if there is a infection on a machine, right? So they will be able, this team, they will be able to know, okay, this machine has got infected, let me go and remediate that. So I log into the machine, run my own tools, identify the malicious files, remove these files, understand how other machines are infected, remove the infection from there on, and then clean the machine and hand it over back to the business, right? And then also create a lessons learned activity. Then as part of a documentation, we'll document the incident, we'll understand what are the lessons learned in this phase or while the investigation. If there was a lapse in terms of user failing to comply with our policies, like he or she connected a USB drive to a machine where we are supposed to strictly said their USB drive should not be connected, but they did it anyway. That's something which has caused the actual infection. We'll have to identify that. Once we identify that, we'll have to go and ensure that that doesn't happen again, right? We will send out email communications to the business, email communication to the users, uh, email communication to the users and everybody else, saying that we saw this activity, this shouldn't be the case happening again. We will ask users to refrain from doing it, and then create a remediation plan according to it, and then conduct frequent audits to identify that nobody else is doing the same activity again, right? And if there are no policies around it, then the security team needs to come up with a policy as to what needs to be done if this activity happens again. So as an example, right? So now we with this COVID-19 pandemic going on, most of the companies are working from home. When people are working from home, they tend to use their own laptop or company provided laptop. And then sometimes what happens is, these guys try installing unauthorized software on the office laptops, because since they're at home, they're bored, they want to play something, they want to do something. When that happens, uh, that get reported. When your systems get audited, they'll identify that there's an unauthorized application installed, that gets audited, and that becomes an incident. And the security team investigates it. If there is nothing malicious, they'll close it, and then they'll let the user know not to install it, and make sure that it's uninstalled, right? And then take necessary precautions where users are not allowed to install applications. Okay, any questions so far, guys?
Nothing from it.
Okay. Shimala Miran, any questions from you?
Yeah, sure. What exactly log means? I mean, I'm just.
Okay. Yeah, a log would be anything text indicating what type of activity happened. Okay, let me show you an example. Uh, this would be a firewall log, sample log, a log file, or it can be this. This is your log file showing you activity happening at that point of time. So usually these are log files stored on your system. On your Windows system, okay, let me show you this.
It has response and request, right? Request and response.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Firewalls will have the response and request. Yes. So in my own system, these are the logs, right? These are my logs for my Windows system. So logs can be multiple forms of logs. Let's look at security logs for my system. Yeah. So this is a security event log in my own system, right? So this would record all the activity or security based activities in my own Windows operating system. And this is a crucial area for the security folks who will be looking at it and then trying to identify what really happened, right? Like this one. It says, okay, something user's local group membership was enumerated, right? So I can, okay, here, credential manager was read for it, okay. Yeah, then account was successfully logged on. So these are all different pieces of log tracking every activity what you do. So it means if you log into Windows, that's an activity that should be logged, right? Log on. If you create a new user, that's an activity. A log gets created. So every activity what you do gets logged and gets stored in a central repository, in this case, which is here in Windows, right? And similarly for Windows, or similarly for firewall, network device, or other operating systems or web applications, like they will have their own area. So for firewall, it will be like the firewall logs. For websites, it will be IIS log, and so on and so forth, right? So does it answer your question?
Yes, Kishore, yes.
Or you're still
Thank you.
confused? No, be absolutely open. If you don't understand, please let me know. I'll try to explain you.
No.
You don't understand, right?
Yes, I understood that.
Again, it's nothing but tracking every activity what you do and then storing it in a central repository for administrators or security folks to look at it and kind of understand what really happened there.
Sure. How can we pick the logs by using any software?
So what happens is you have multiple. It can be done in multiple ways. From your Windows operating system, what you can do is you have your, if you want to use a central repository like a Splunk environment or for any other SIM solution, you can install an agent which will collect the logs from a specific location and push it to a central repository or central server, right? That's for Windows, right? For firewall, what happens is firewall itself will send its own logs to a central repository, like a syslog server.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So similarly, you will have multiple, for IIS servers as well, for your web servers as well, you can install an agent which will go and talk to the web server every 10 minutes or every 20 minutes to go fetch the log, right? To go fetch the log and then put it in a central repository, like for our case SIM solution, where we will go and read those logs, and that's how it's get collected in the central repository. So you have tools. So in traditional sense, if you want to collect all the logs in a central repository, that central repository will allow you to connect to all these data sources, like your firewalls, your web servers, your email servers, your proxies, and everything XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. So all these different technologies or different devices connect to a central repository where they dump their logs. That central repository gets read by this central console, which is SIM solution, where I have access to it, where I'll go and request for this information and then look at the logs. So it's more or less like a book, right? So when you are looking at a book, your index tells you about different chapters. Different chapters have different headings in it. Similarly, the central repository will also segregate the data among like a book. Like it will tell you, okay, the first chapter would be your firewall logs. Inside the firewall logs, you'll go and read all the firewall data you have across your environment so that you can read it. Similarly, it will also have something called as an email chapter example. So in that, you'll have all the email logs coming in. So that's how you'll ingest the data. When I'm talking about the phase 2 here, ingest the data in SIM solution, segregate it, arrange it, and then read it.
Okay.
Again, SOC as part of information security, like what we spoke about earlier, right? SOC in a holistic terminologies deals with a lot of other things. Like it uses network security. It talks about malware prevention. It talks about media control, secure configuration, home and mobile working nowadays. It makes sure that it tells you to monitor the system. It takes care of incident response. It looks at managing privileged users, user awareness, and everything else, right? Again, the information security always talks about determine your risk appetite. How much risk you can take. Produce supportive risk management policies. Like how do you want to handle your risk? Like and then also tells your management that or the board of directors that they want you want them to invest in your security policies or security programs or installation of new tools and devices, which helps you protect that. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Kishore,
Sure.
as a SOC guy, can do all these functions. I mean, like
You will.
malware.
Yes. So you will be doing malware analysis. You will be handling removable media storage. You'll be looking at secure configurations. You'll be monitoring. You'll be incident response. You'll be handling, managing privileged users. User education and awareness will not be entirely your area, but yes, you will be monitoring network security as well. So some of them will be your full control.
Okay.
Some of them will be partially involved. Right. So in this case, network security will not be completely your area, but yes, if you find that there is a network attack going on, or there is some kind of vulnerability in your network device, you let the network team know, and they'll patch it for you. Right. For secure configuration, again, if you see that there is a configuration change, unauthorized configuration change, you will try to alert it, but you'll not be the one who will be reviewing the configuration as such. There will be a different team, like a network security team or network team, who will be reviewing the configuration, and then taking the information security team's approval before implementing the configuration. But again, it depends upon which type of company you're working in. So suppose if you're working in a very smaller company, you might do everything. But if you work in a bigger company, you might have dedicated teams for every segment of it, right? Some of the bigger companies will have malware team. Some of the companies will have separate incident response team. Some of the different teams will have a monitoring team. So monitoring team will alert it and let the malware prevention team to go and handle an infection. But in the smaller teams, like a smaller companies, where the SOC is not bigger, that team will be the one who will be doing the monitoring. They'll be the one who will be doing the prevention. They'll be the one who will be creating incident management reports, and everything else they'll be doing it. So it depends upon what type of organization you're working on, and what how they are trying to set up their environment.
Okay.
Okay. So the branches for information security will be, as I said, network security, endpoint. Endpoint is nothing but your laptops, your computers, your servers, all become endpoint for you. right, where some processing can happen. Then you have your application security, which is nothing but your web application, which is like an example would be your uh, Amazon.in, Flipkart.in. Those are traditionally websites, but for a company, those becomes your web applications, which is hosted and it's providing services to your clients, right? So how do you protect those? What type of protection mechanism you'll have for that, right? So these web application people are would be more in demand. They are required now because most of the organization start some of the other, they have their presence on the web for their clients to come back and connect or access their services. um, O365, right? Microsoft O365, they have got their online presence, right? People who don't have powerful systems or who don't have Outlook installed on their machines, they can use office.com and log into their webmail. Not a big deal. Similarly, you'll need these web application guys to understand and review these applications and ensure and validate that these applications don't have what do you call vulnerabilities which can be exploited by the attacker, right? Then you have got cloud security, which is more important now, because every other organization is moving to the cloud, and you need to understand how cloud really works, what are the components of cloud and everything else. Then you have your IoT security. IoT security is not that predominant, right? Because what happens is some of the companies use IoT devices. Most of the companies don't. So that becomes an area for again, very limited scope here, but yeah, some of the companies do provide IoT security. Majority of the companies don't. Until unless you're into that business of IoT, you'll not be worried about IoT security. Then the other thing is your digital forensics. Digital forensics comes as a very niche area where usually it's outsourced, because hiring a digital forensics guy is extremely expensive because of his skill set, and that's the reason you outsource this job to a third party, so that that third party team will actually investigate or perform the digital forensics on your for you, on behalf of you, and then provide you the data. Okay, so what are the job opportunities for cybersecurity? You can look at becoming a vulnerability assessment guy. You can look at becoming a pen tester. You can be an incident responder. You can be a malware analyst. You can be a forensic expert. You can be a red teaming or blue teaming, or in general, you can be a security analyst who has got any one of these or multiple skill sets of above, right? So again, for as a SOC analyst, you will predominantly be a blue team expert, a blue team guy. You'll be performing limited malware analysis. You'll be performing incident response. You'll be not exactly doing forensics, but yeah, you'll be doing partial forensics. And then I think if it's requirement is there, you'll be also doing vulnerability assessment and then pen test as well, right? But again, bigger organizations will have individual teams for these areas. They'll only come in when it's required.